Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, we have a crazy position that we're going to investigate. We have all of these black pawns on the 5th rank going down the board. Your job is to figure out whether black's going to win this game or white is going to win this game, or perhaps even a draw. So let me quickly offer two arguments for you. On one hand, white has a rook and two pieces, so the idea is that maybe white can scoop up all of these pawns before black can unify their forces. And on the other hand, you have all of these pawns that can just run up the board and support each other. And those are the two arguments. White can mop up the pawns, or black can push their pawns and eventually queen. Which side do you think will win this game? While you're thinking about that, let me quickly encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income I earn on this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps me out a lot. Okay, so I gave this demonstration of the rook taking here just to kind of show the point of white mopping up these pawns. It turns out white is the side winning here, but it's not really through this move of rook takes f5. Although this would win, this is not the fastest way, the best way. So just as an example, if you were to take this, you have to be really careful with this pawn on the a file. So you have to find some pretty delicate moves, just as an example, because there are so many lines here, and I would encourage you to play around with this on your own as well. Let's just say they play a4. You have really one move here that keeps the advantage. That move is rook f8. Kind of hard to find. I don't know about you. I think that's a hard move to find. Let's put an exclamation point on it. So if this pawn keeps pushing, it looks pretty scary, right? Because you can't go back and support it. What is the only way to maintain the win here? This is like a puzzle on its own. The move is rook to b8. Another amazing move. If they push, you actually have a mate in 3 here. So if you want to pause and take a shot at that, go for it. The move is rook b6. And after they promote, you can take this, and this is mate. So just to show how cool this position can be, it's complicated, and that's just with the rook takes. Just to give you an idea of how these pawns can really run up the board and be supported by the bishop. Okay, so what if the knight takes here, bishop takes here? There are a lot of variations to look into. We don't have to go down each one, but it's worth noting that there's a lot. Okay, so if you take this, bishop takes a5, this is actually like a bad move. You threw away your advantage. The best move for black is to push this pawn and try to coordinate some kind of pawn storm. So again, as an example, because there are so many lines, if you take, they can play bishop d4. The hope is to start pushing, and you have to be really careful. You can check them, they can run away, and the computer is saying about +1, but I would encourage you to play this against the computer and just try it out. Here's an example of that. Now it's saying it's about a draw. c4, you have to be really, really careful. I think you get the idea that these pawns are dangerous. Okay, so what's the answer here? What's the best move? So the best move, according to the computer, is rook to b1. Sensible, right? Oops, rook to b1. The idea is I'm attacking down the b file. Great. So what happens if this bishop moves? Is this a big deal? Do I do something else, like maybe push the pawn, give up the bishop, and try to get a pawn storm? All things to consider. So let's talk about the first idea, which is that what happens when the bishop moves away? If the bishop moves back to d4, for example, this actually is a mate in 5. So you first take, or no, sorry, I say mate in 5, mate in 3. You take here, they have to do something, and right now you're threatening this because these squares are covered. So you're threatening mate on the spot. They have to defend that mate. And now you have a similar line to the one I showed before. Check. No matter where the king goes, it's mate on the next move. This looks kind of cool. So the short story here is they cannot move this bishop or else they give up mate in a few. This is mate in 4 with the exact same idea. Either here or here, right? So they have to give up this bishop, which looks kind of scary, but let's talk about it. So let's say they say, okay, I'm going to give up this bishop. I'm just going to push the pawn. And if you take this, I'm going to try to run these pawns up the board and coordinate some kind of rush. So it's important to note that they can't push a3 because I can take this and this coordination is too dangerous. Right? They can do this, but you just go here anyway because this square is protected by the bishop. So they can't push. They have to do something about this pawn. And this is where this funny little pattern comes in. They play b4 because you're attacking b5, and they just protect it because this pawn is protecting. And you have this little run down the board with the rook. So you don't want to go back because they can push. Instead, you're still winning there, but it's not the best way. Instead, you go to c2. Now you're attacking here. You're essentially going down the line and attacking the vulnerable base points along the way. Okay, so c5. They have to push, c4. Now you play rook d2, attacking here. They have to push. This is not necessarily the best way, but it's kind of a fun visual. Rook e2, hitting e5, they push. You do this all the way. And what happens at the end? Now they have to give up something, right? So they give up the pawn. Maybe the hope is that they can run down the board and coordinate something. Unfortunately, it does not work. After rook h5, you're threatening mate, and there's nothing they can do about it. They can play a2, doesn't matter. This is mate. So in a really weird way, all the way back in this original position, this rook b1 move is the best move because it almost forces mate. I think it's like mate in 17 or something, or mate in 12. I forgot already. The engine has a hard time seeing this mate, but after the line either a4 or b4, this is usually what it shows. And you just run down the board. Isn't this kind of cool? It's a very odd puzzle. But what else can you really do? Let's say you don't go for, pushing the pawns. Let's say you do something else. What else are you really going to do? Because the second white gets behind enemy lines, black is kind of lost, right? If they start pushing, I don't know, let's say they play b4. Let's say they start pushing a4. Black goes right, or white goes right for a black's pawn, and there's nothing you can do. Because like I said, you try to push another one, it's too late. You can't get out of this net. Look at the coordination here. It's a lot. Okay, so that's pretty much the idea. From here, it's like a mate in 17, but I love the visual of this line of just chasing every pawn down the board, all the pawns keep moving, and eventually they can't run away anymore. You take it, and now pick your favorite pawn. It's mate in 2 no matter what you do. Here, there. Again, any king move, there's only one king move that's sensible. You can go into the corner, but there's no point. That's it. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, let me know. Did you find the answer here? Did you see the idea? Were you able to see that white was actually winning? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.